the scene at the stage finish at the top of the Jafferau. And at the moment, it's looking good for the Breakaway riders out front. 4 of them to the good by more than 9 minutes. Luca Paolini, Sonny Colbrelli, Daniele Pietropoli and Matteo Trentin have a handy advantage indeed. Join us again after these. You're very welcome back to stage 14 of the Giro d'Italia for 2013 as the riders make their way from Cervere to Bardonecchia to the summit finish on the Jafferau. And they're racing, of course, without having had to go up the Category 2 Sestriere climb. All 16.25 kilometres of it were removed from the race route as a result of heavy snows up there that descended just before the race start today. So disappointment for the organisers. They've had to remove that, and they're now racing towards the Jafferau. 4 riders out front, and the gap is starting to come down. It was at 9.5 minutes for quite a long time, but with less than 40 kilometres to go, 7:50 was the last time check that we got. Still great opportunity for them to hang on. We understand that Astana team and Sky are setting the pace on the front, and still the spectators at the finish, despite the fact that the rains have been coming down for quite a long time, are in very good spirits indeed. And they'll be looking forward to seeing which riders emerge through the mist at the top of... it's a bit of a leg breaker, this Jafferau climb for the riders, Sean. It's certainly not going to be easy for them. It's not as long as the Sestriere, but it's quite a bit steeper.
It's going to be a difficult one. 7 kilometres of climbing, and there is sections in it, and average 9-10%, but there is some kicks up a bit to 14%, and that's around the 6 kilometres to go from the finish line. So it's going to create a lot of suffering, and the riders will suffer because of the conditions as well. The cold conditions out there all day in the real cold. It's going to take an effect, and it should be interesting to see some of the general classification men will maybe suffer in these conditions, these real cold conditions. The Breakaway is looking good at the moment, but we've been the last news we have on the race is that the peloton has speeded up a bit and the gap is coming down, but still a nice advantage, which over 7.5 minutes about at this point. It will be interesting to see, but it's going to be an interesting one who is going to come out of the fog first. And apologies once again, pictures, we can't do anything about it. We're depending on the host broadcaster to provide the pictures, and for the moment they're not being successful.
Yeah, it's Rye that are doing the pictures, and basically it's low cloud and weather means the relay plane and TV helicopters are unable to get airborne. So it looks like we're not going to get any pictures for a little while. Absolutely devastated to tell you, but no live pictures at the moment, and as soon as we get them we will immediately break into live action. But for the moment we're going to head away to Watts just to give you we're going to, in a few moments, but just before we do that we'll have a quick look at the revised profile. Cervere to Bardonecchia, and no sign of the Sestriere in there, as you can see, but it's an up and down route for the riders, and still quite a bit of climbing before they get to that final ramp up to Bardonecchia, up to the Jafferau, used in 1972, most famously of course Jose Maria Fuente attacking and trying to hold off in vain Eddie Merckx. So the Jafferau is waiting, and the spectators are waiting expectantly for the riders to arrive. Still 4 riders up front, but we're going to take this opportunity to just step away for a moment, but we will be back if any live pictures come, and we will be back for the finish to give you a final report at that moment from myself and from Sean. We'll look forward to seeing you then. So thanks for that, and goodbye. You're very welcome back to stage 14 of the Giro d'Italia from Cervere to Bardonecchia. It's 180 kilometres for the riders today. Unfortunately, we've seen so little of it, virtually none of it, as a result of the loss of live pictures. There have been so many retirements in this race already, and we've had another, 3 riders have retired out on the route today, and 4 riders didn't sign on, so another 7 added to a list, making it 25 riders who have retired from Giro d'Italia. But just to let you know that the riders are racing towards the finish line. We have no live pictures, unfortunately, as a result of the inclement weather conditions. And then massive difficulties getting the relay plane and the helicopters up in the air today. As you can see from these scenes at the finish line, at the top of the Jafferau climb, above Bardonecchia, the mist has descended. The rains have been pouring down on the spectators, waiting patiently to see who's going to emerge through the mist and take victory on this 14th stage of the race. As I said, it's 180 kilometres for the riders rather than 168. That's as a result of the decision to remove the Sestriere climb as a result of these inclement weather conditions. So 4 riders out front. Last time gap we got, they were just under 7 minutes ahead of the field. Luca Paolini of the Katusha squad, Colbrelli, Bardiani, Pietropoli of Lampre Merida, and Matteo Trentin of Amiga Pharma Quickstep. They're still out front ahead of the peloton. We'll let you know how they get on, but for the moment we'll give you more watts. It's stage 14 of the Giro d'Italia 2013, Chevrolet to Bardonecchia for the riders today. 180 kilometres without the Sestriere, which has been removed from the race route as a result of inclement weather on that mountain, and the inclement weather across this region in the Alps has prevented the pictures, the relay plane from getting up into the air. The helicopters as well are prevented, so it means unfortunately that we continue to have no pictures from out on the race route. These are the static cameras at the finish line, waiting for the riders to make their way up the final 7.5 kilometres, climbing the Jafferau to above Bardonecchia. And there are 4 riders still out front of the peloton. Luca Paolini from the Katusha squad, Sonny Colbrelli of Bardiani Valvole, Daniele Pietropoli of Lampre Merida, and Matteo Trentin of Amiga Pharma Quickstep. We understand reports coming from out on the race route that Matteo Trentin has dropped back from the other 3 riders. He's still well ahead of the peloton. The front riders have an advantage hovering around about the 5-minute mark, and they've got about 15 kilometres to go to the top, but they have got this leg-breaking climb of the Jafferau to contend with, so it's looking good for perhaps one of those 4 riders out front, certainly one of the front 3 perhaps to take stage honours today, but they're certainly going to have to work for it because the peloton are starting to close them down. The Vincenzo Nibali led peloton, the Astana group team, and indeed Sky Pro Cycling are setting the agenda, setting the pace on the front. So these the scenes at the finish line, and conditions have improved a little bit, so hopefully the riders are enjoying it a little bit more than they were, but still unfortunately we don't have live pictures to show you, so we will keep in touch and we will keep coming back to let you know exactly what's going on, but we don't have live pictures at the moment, so we'll go to record a show and we'll be back to you very shortly. It's stage 14 of Giro d'Italia 2013, Chevrolet to Bardonecchia, and we're waiting patiently for the arrival of the riders. They're inside the last 4.5 kilometres for 3 riders out front from the initial 7-man breakaway that left the field shortly after the start in Chevrolet this morning. 180 kilometres for the riders in total. That's 12 kilometres extra than they expected this morning, but minus the Sestriere climb that had to be removed from the race route as a result of the inclement weather conditions. Those conditions have prevented the helicopters and the planes getting up in the air and giving us live pictures relayed. So unfortunately the only pictures we have at the moment are from the finish line, where, as you can see, the rains have descended once more. It was clear for a little while and it looked like it was going to be nice and bright at the finish, but clouds have descended once more, and those 3 riders who we believe have a very good chance of hanging on to the finish. They have a lead of still around about 4 minutes and shrinking fast. The Sky Pro Cycling squad are leading the peloton. in chase of the 3 riders up front, and it's Luca Paolini of the Katusha squad, Sonny Colbrelli of Bardiani Valvoli. Daniele Pietropoli has actually lost just a little bit of ground in recent minutes. He's the man from Lampre Merida. And they were accompanied for quite a long time by Matteo Trentin of the Amiga Pharma Quickstep squad, who we understand has had to have several bike changes today, and he's lost ground to his 3 former companions. There were 3 other riders in the break at the very beginning of the day, but Peter Weening of Orica Green Edge, Peter Stetina of Garmin Sharp, and Egoy Martinez of Euskaltel, well, those 3 riders crashed out and were back in the bunch pretty quickly. It's been a tough old day for the riders. As I told you earlier, Venotti, Battiglin and David Miller have retired from the race. 2 minutes now, the advantage for the 2 riders at the front to Matteo Trentin behind, and Trentin is in a real battle to try and hang on ahead of the peloton. Around about 30 riders, maybe 35 riders in that peloton, much reduced, as you might imagine. It's been a tough old day out there for them, even without the climb of Sestriere. And these spectators have been waiting patiently all afternoon in absolutely appalling conditions. You can imagine what it's like for the riders. Pretty tough too for the spectators, but well, they've maintained high spirits. 3:20 is the gap we're getting from the front of the race. Those 2 riders, Luca Paolini and Sonny Colbrelli out front. Luca Paolini, remember, has already taken a stage victory and won the Maglia Rosa for 4 days in this year's race. It's his debut Giro d'Italia, and what a race! What a Giro it's been for Luca Paolini at the early age of 36 years of age. In contrast, his breakaway companion Sonny Colbrelli is a mere 23 years of age. He was 23 yesterday. And what a birthday present it would be for him if he could manage to take a stage victory in this, his 2nd Giro d'Italia, and is just a pro for 2 years. And he really seems to have a massive appetite for work. 8,000 kilometres already of racing done this year. A 2nd in Tour of Limburg this year. So he's definitely one for the future. And the future could well become the present if he can hang on out front with less than 4 kilometres to the line. Alongside me is Sean Kelly. And we're waiting patiently for the arrival of the riders, and you know, that looks like a handy advantage for them, Sean, but this is a really, really tough climb, and it stays climbing all the way to the line, as at last we have live pictures. Well, this is oh no, it's recorded images. I got a little bit excited there. This is recorded images that have been relayed and shuttled by motorbike to the broadcast truck of the Sky Pro Cycling led peloton. So that's confirmation that it's Sky that are doing the damage, and they're trying to soften up the other general classification contenders as we wait for them at the finish line. Around about 3.5 kilometres to go for them, Sean, and as I said, this one climbs all the way to the line.
Yes, it's going to be a difficult day for everybody because of the conditions, you know, so cold out there, the wet conditions once again, horrible conditions all day, and our breakaway men were, the last report is Paolini and Colbrelli is out in front, and as we can see there, Pietropoli also, maybe he was losing a bit of contact, but we haven't been getting exactly where he is at the moment. Maybe he's got into the rhythm and got back on the climb, but it looks like they have, you know, 3.4 kilometres to go, 2.5 minutes, and if that is the case, they should be able to hold on. Although we have seen Team Sky and Astana were setting the pace, but they deserve to stay out there today, because after going out there on the start again today, horrible conditions, and to go out there, you know, with a small breakaway of riders, you deserve to get the stage out of it, and hopefully, I'm hoping they will hold on, and some of them will get the victory in the stage today.
Well, we're hearing unconfirmed reports that Sky's Ainau and Androni's Rosa have attacked from the bunch, which would be an interesting development. I suppose Ainau is the new Uran for the team. Sky have obviously decided to put him out there as a stalking horse.
Yes, well, you know, he's a danger man in the general classification, and they're going to try and work that, that car first of all, put him out in front, and really make the race difficult, I suppose, because when you put somebody who is in the general classification, 11th place, just over 5 minutes down, well, there's other riders who in the general classification will try and follow that, and that will just make the race very aggressive. And I think for Sky team, for Rigoberto Urán, that's what they want to do, make the race difficult, and see can they put the other guys up in the general classification, Cadel Evans and Nibali, put them in a bit of difficulty, and that's the way you do it, you know, make the race difficult and see will you see some cracks there.
Sergio Henao is sitting at 11th position in the overall classification. 5 minutes and 6 seconds in arrears of Vincenzo Nibali's Maglia Rosa, and very much a threat overall. But we did see some days ago when Rigoberto Urán attacked that Astana were content to at least let him attack and then control the pace behind and then race amongst themselves. Now Rigoberto Urán is very much an overall contender, just over 2 minutes behind in third place overall. Just a reminder of those overall standings. Vincenzo Nibali leads Cadel Evans by 41 seconds. Rigoberto Urán, as mentioned, 2 minutes and 4 seconds behind Nibali. Robert Hessink sitting pretty in fourth position, 2 minutes and 12 seconds. One further second back for Michele Scarponi in fifth position. Sant'Ambrogio 2 minutes 55. Niemiec 3:35 in Shausti, Pozzovivo and Rafael Maica also in the top 10. Now Franco Pellizotti, it would appear, has decided to attack the peloton. 2 minutes and 5 seconds from the front of the race to Pellizotti. So where is Henao and Rosa? We understood that they had around about 20 seconds on the peloton, around about 3 minutes behind, but that information would appear to have been superseded by the news that Franco Pellizotti of the Androni squad has struck out for glory. Look at the weather, it's just been absolutely horrific all day. A little bit of a break in the clouds for a while, but it's descending once more, and those riders will be just blurs in the mist as they emerge into the final few hundred meters. And they were going to be it's going to be a struggle all the way to the top, around about 11% through the final kilometer of this climb. The mist and fog descends as the spectators await to try and get a little bit of coverage, and those lenses on those phones are going to be put to the test in these conditions. Sean, would you care to pick a favourite out of the two that is likely to emerge in the mist first, and can these riders hang on?
Well, that is the question. The time gaps we're receiving, it gives the indication that they should be able to hang on. But again, on the climb, we can see the information we're getting. There's a lot of attacks out of the front of the bunch, and they can close down so much time in the end. And it depends on how much energy they have left. The two breakaways or the three breakaways possibly. We've seen that there was three back together again. It's amazing how much you can lose in just the final couple of kilometres of the climb when the peloton is just coming up at such a rate. So it's difficult, and it's difficult for the riders as well, as we can see there, in the fog. Sometimes when riders go in the attack, you get a bit further ahead and you cannot be seen. And I remember from my experience, like that is, it's always difficult, because if you're not getting information, from your team director, then you are not sure how far the rider is in front. So it's a little bit of a concern when you're in this foggy conditions for the riders as well out on the road. It has been, a real difficult day for everybody. For the TV pictures, impossible to, get any live images, and we can see Colbrelli and Paulini out in front at the moment. It looks like Pietro Poli, he was struggling. He lost a bit of ground. He seemed to get back in again there, but it looks like he maybe have lost on the 2 litres again.
So Colbrelli and Paolini out front, under 2 minutes advantage, with just over 2 kilometres left in this 14th stage of Giro d'Italia. Franco Pellizotti has attacked the peloton and joined up with 2 other riders, Henao and Diego Rosa. That's the last update that we got, and here's an updated caption suggesting that Petropoli has got back with Colbrelli and Paolini. Well, if he has done, it's a very impressive effort indeed. All action amongst the group of favourites, the Maglia Rosa group of Vincenzo Nibali, watching at some seconds and waiting to see what happens. They'll be less concerned with Franco Pellizotti and Diego Rosa, and more with Sergio Henao within 5 minutes of the overall lead. Pellizotti 16th overall at 6 minutes and 55 seconds. Diego Rosa is 28 minutes and 30 seconds back in 33rd position overall. So neither of those really an overall contender. Pellizotti, a former mountains classification winner in Tour de France, has come back from suspension, won the Italian Road Race Championships last year, and his redemption in the peloton with the Androni Giocattoli Venezuela squad. And he's attempting to complete that today with stage victory in this, the 14th stage, which should have gone over 2 classified mountains, but as I said earlier, the Sestriere climb had to be removed, and this singleton climb of the Jafferau is the one effort that they'll have to make, one significant effort up a mountain at least. They've made plenty of efforts out there today, especially in these conditions. It's a really, really tough day for them. And I was mentioning that the Jafferau, of course, is famous for that famous attack back in 1972. Jose Maria Fuente of Spain, of the CAS team. Sean, very familiar with that sponsor. And he launched himself out of the peloton, attempted to pull a fast one on Eddie Merckx, went for a big long lone attack, and he was out there for a long time in his lead, and Eddie Merckx burnt off all his other rivals and got up to Fuente, and Fuente was an exhausted man by the time he got there, and Merckx took a dominant win and a famous win on the Jafferau. Now 43 seconds back with 1.5 kilometers left. Surely they can't do it, Sean. It's been a great effort. They've been out there all day. At one stage their lead was 9.5 minutes for the 4 riders up front. Paolini, Colbrelli, Pietrapoli and Matteo Trentin. Those 4 riders had a maximum advantage of 9.5 minutes. It took a long time before they started to whittle it down, but with 1.5 kilometers to go and such a steep finish to this climb, it's going to be tough for them to hang on, but they'll certainly fight all the way to the line.
Yes, well, they will fight all the way to the line, but 43 seconds, it's going to be real tight, and difficult, I suppose, is the word, because with the riders coming up out of the peloton, you know, fresh riders, for the 2 riders who are getting out in front at the moment, Paolini and Colbrelli, they're going to be really struggling the last bit of this climb. And as we can see, 1.2 kilometres at the moment. If that 43 seconds in advantage, it's going to be difficult for them to hold on out there.
Certainly is, but who's going to hang on from the leaders coming behind? 3 riders have emerged from the leaders group, and that group is down to around about 30 riders and dwindling with every passing metre, so you can be sure there'll be a lot less than 30 that come to the line from the general classification contenders group. Franco Pelazzotti it is who leads with Sergio Henao of Sky Pro Cycling and Pelazzotti's Androni teammate Diego Rosa. No update on how they're doing. The last information we had was that they had 20 seconds on the group of Vincenzo Nibali and co. Cadel Evans 41 seconds in arrears. Young man looking very concerned. It's been a long day. A long day of waiting for them. The crowd are starting to get animated and excited as the officials' vehicles, more and more of them appear, and that's always a sign that we're getting closer and closer. Inside the final kilometre for these riders, but remember they've got in the final 750 metres, it's not less than 11%, and when they've been out there for about 110 odd miles, not to mention the 13 stages of racing that have preceded it, legs will be very, very soft and sore indeed, and they're going to struggle to really maintain momentum on this these very difficult conditions. So who will it be as we wait for the riders? Up front we have Luca Paolini, last indication 43 seconds for Paolini and Sonny Colbrelli. Luca Paolini of the Katusha squad with the distinctive red jersey. Sonny Colbrelli of Bardiani Valvole, they've got a lime green outfit. Not going to be too much like lime green, I tell you, by the time we see them. And will we see them first? Because that was a tiny advantage in relative terms that they were maintaining over the riders behind. Franco Pelazzotti, the Italian national champions colours, rider from Androni Giocattoli. Sergio Henao of Sky Pro Cycling and Diego Rosa of Androni Giocattoli, the white colours of that team. And of course the Maglia Rosa of Vincenzo Nibali, not too far behind. The anticipation mounts. That's the scene within the last 500 metres of this climb. And Sean, it's been an amazing Giro d'Italia so far for Luca Paolini and the Katusha squad. Paolini, of course, has taken a stage victory solo so far and managed 4 days in the Maglia Rosa. And for Sonny Colbrelli, what an amazing achievement it would be if the man, just 23 years of age, his birthday was yesterday, if they could hang on. But, well, the Pelazzotti group didn't have much of an advantage over Nibali either.
No, not an advantage to really talk about, and it's going to be really difficult. Doubtful if I think the two leaders would come, as we can see here.
And here's a lone rider. It's the two riders. It's one of the Vini Fantinis. Is it? Could it possibly be De Luca? And is that Vincenzo Nibali, the race leader, in his wheel? So Vincenzo Nibali has managed to extricate himself from the other general classification contenders. It looks like one of the AG2R Le Mondial riders is trying to chase him down. Could well be the Colombian Betancourt, but it's as we see coming to the line, it's not De Luca. Sant'Ambrogio, one of the leading riders, of course, 6th overall, and doing an absolutely fantastic Giro d'Italia. Vincenzo Nibali in his wheel, and they've distanced themselves from the other general classification contenders as they winch themselves up these very, very difficult last few metres. Sant'Ambrogio would be a popular winner, but Vincenzo Nibali knows, of course, that there are 20 seconds on offer at the top of the hill, bonus seconds, and they will be very significant, and could indeed be very significant indeed. But Vincenzo Nibali has looked so cool, calm and relaxed throughout the Giro d'Italia, and this is he emerges from the mist in the rain at the top of the Jafferau climb. Bardonecchia, they arriving to the finish at the end of 180 tough kilometres on this, the 14th stage of the Giro d'Italia, winding their way through the final hairpin. Sant'Ambrogio, 6th overall in general classification, leads the race leader Vincenzo Nibali. They are setting the pace and chased down by one of the riders from AG2R Le Mondial. Could it have been Betancourt? Could it have been Pozzovivo? I do indeed believe that it was Betancourt, as
Samuel Sanchez from Escatel,
Samuel Sanchez, who attacked, and Sant'Ambrogio takes the victory in stage 14 ahead of Vincenzo Nibali, who still takes a handy 12 seconds extra to go with that. And Betancourt once more in the top 3 for AG2R. Great performance for him, and he'll be delighted with that, but he doesn't get closer to Vincenzo Nibali. But Mauro Sant'Ambrogio, he didn't just emerge through the mist to take victory, but also he's emerging as a real contender in this year's Giro d'Italia. Samuel Sanchez for Euskaltel makes his way across the line. Sergio Henao, whose late attack proved not to be a successful one. Cadel Evans is accompanied by Domenico Pozzovivo of the AG2R Le Mondial squad, and it's been an arduous climb for all of them, really. As we see, well, that's Henao, so riders coming in dribs and drabs, but Vincenzo Nibali and Mauro Sant'Ambrogio, particularly Nibali, demonstrates just what an amazing force he is in world cycling at the moment, and that has rubber stamped his position at the head of the general classification. And despite the fact that we missed out on the Sestriere climb, it sort of condensed all of the effort into the final hill. And here we have Luca Paolini from the break. Well, it wasn't to be. What a fantastic effort out there all day. He's been on the attack throughout this Giro d'Italia. Unfortunately, it was just too far and didn't have enough in hand for that final climb, but a great effort from him. But Sean, wow, Vincenzo Nibali looks so strong now.
Yes, looking very comfortable, and of course with Sant'Ambrogio, setting the pace. I think Nibali was happy just to follow in the wheel and really give to him, I suppose, the stage victory. But Nibali again just proving so strong. But Sant'Ambrogio, he has been very impressive in this race, and as you said, he's down there in 6th position in general classification. We did see Uran, he came in around 25-30 seconds.
Yeah, that was Uran was the first of the
and Evans at 36, and then we see Henao, he's come in about a 103. We see Scarponi there losing about he came in at around 130, so a little bit of a change in the general classification. Guessing I haven't seen coming in there, so it'll be interesting to see if he's lost more time or if he came in with some of the royals we see coming over the line already.
Riders winching themselves up this final hill. Pietropoli, of course, who was in the break for much of the afternoon, and he's lost so much time on this final climb of the Jafferau. Really is a very, very steep one, not particularly long. but so steep, and it really has caused a revolution in the general classification. Let's get a side of it. And Vincenzo Nibali, did he really contend with this? Mauro Sant'Ambrogio puts his hands in the air for victory on stage 14 as Vincenzo Nibali bows his head, but he can bow his head with pride. Superb performance. Do you think perhaps that Nibali was satisfied with the time gained on his rival and decided to not to contest that finish?
Yes, I think he did not contest that finish. We could see there that Nibali was comfortable in the wheel of Sant'Ambrogio, and he allowed him to take the stage victory. Of course, he gets the bonification time, seconds for being second in the stage, and I think the most important thing is that he's taken a lot of time from the other general classification men.
Blanco riders coming up, and that can only mean that Robert Hessink is in amongst that group, and
they're in third position.
Yeah, Hessink there is being paced by his team, so Robert Hessink is going to plummet down general classification as a result of this tough day in the Alps. It didn't have as many peaks as certainly he would have liked, and the spectators would have liked in more ways than one. And for Hessink, well, it's a lot of time lost, and his ambitions to win a first Grand Tour look like they have ended on the climb of the Jafferau above Bardonecchia in the Alps today. What about Mauro Sant'Ambrogio, though, Sean? A lot of people in Italy have been saying that you really got to watch for this guy. He's a coming man in pro cycling. For Vinny Fantini, finally they get the stage success. They've been on the attack. Every one of their riders has been attacking in recent days, and it occurred to me that maybe they should be saving energy for Sant'Ambrogio. There's a perfect demonstration. What about Betancourt in third place? 2 second places and a third places from stages in this year's Giro d'Italia. So Betancourt, it's not to be once again the nearly man. But for Mauro Sant'Ambrogio, it's a wonderful first success, and he won't forget his day to Bardonecchia. Missing the live television images throughout the day, well, that was a little bit disappointing for what a wonderful performance he eventually produced. From his point of view, it'd be nice to have all those pictures, but Sant'Ambrogio, 28 years of age now. Second in Trentino this year, of course. Fourth in Lombardia last year. And there's confirmation that he led in Vincenzo Nibali. 9 seconds between those riders and Carlos Betancourt of AG Tour Le Mondial. Samuel Sanchez finally shows a bit of form, comes in fourth position. Rigoberto Urán just not quite able to live with the pace of Vincenzo Nibali towards the end of the day. Franco Pellizotti fades to 13th. Benjatin Schausty, 17th position, just ahead of Michele Scarponi. Luca Paolini, who was out for so much of the day out front, trails in 19th position. Haynau, after his attack, that came to naught and didn't really work out for Rigoberto Urán either.
Riders coming in, small groups, 2 and 3 riders. They've suffered so much out there today with these conditions. As we can see, the overall standings.
Cadel Evans now 1 minute and 26 seconds back, and that's an awful lot of time trialling if he's to get ahead of Vincenzo Nibali on Thursday. Rigoberto Urán still on the podium in third position, but now 2 and 3/4 minutes behind. So it's been a great day for Sant'Ambrogio and Nibali. Sant'Ambrogio now up to 4th position. Nibali hangs on to his lead by 1 minute and 26 seconds. It's an extended advantage now. 2 minutes and 46 seconds between himself and Urán, and Sant'Ambrogio just off the podium by 1 second. Scarponi in 5th position. Niemitz, great performance from him in 6th. Pozzovivo in 7th. Rafael Majka has moved up from 10th to 8th. And now Betancourt still in 9th position. Benjatin Schausty 10th overall.